The presidential palace that was once open to the public has shut its doors. In fact, today what we see here is that nearly after 6 days, we see the forensic team have arrived here at presidential palace. They're collecting fingerprint evidence. In fact, this is a part of their investigation. This colonial structure has been almost vandalized and ransacked by several unknown persons who had stormed through this particular presidential palace. Now, it's a colonial palatial palace, which is filled with richness and opulence. This was the place where Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his family were living. The presidential palace, of course, in the last 6 days, turned out to be a tourist destination for a lot of people, especially citizens of Sri Lanka, who were trying to explore what luxury is like and what is the kind of luxury that Mr. Gotabaya and his family were living in. But we understand, of course, once when the Sri Lankans, especially the anti-government protesters, had taken over the presidential palace, they stormed through this heavily guarded palace and they successfully entered this entire palace. In fact, we had reported just a few days ago with the entire place being jam-packed, but now it wears a deserted look. You only just have the special task force who's been deployed at various vantage points to ensure that there's no any forced entry once again or suspicious entry, and you just have right now at the moment some of the officers in fact collecting fingerprint details. Now those are the, in terms of evidences that they are picking up to understand, because we understand this colonial structure. It is recognized or comes under the Archaeological Survey of Sri Lanka, because it's such a old heritage structure that's now been, destroyed, ransacked through several of, in terms of artifacts have been damaged. This is what we understand from the officers who are trying to collect the evidence at the moment. So now you see several of the furniture right here onto my right have been completely wrecked. The piano was wrecked. All these have been, in terms of the forensic officers, have been recorded as evidence. So it's not just the presidential palace, but also Temple Trees, which is the official residence of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now that's also been vacated by people, handed over to the government. We also understand, as far as the protesters are concerned, we see only Old Parliament. Now that's the only place which they will be occupying. But for now, we see, with Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe being appointed as the acting president of Sri Lanka, the country has, on the whole, has at least about 7 days until they see a new president, which means Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has officially resigned as the president of Sri Lanka. With camera person Kumar, Shrija for NDTV.